All right, so today I am teaching you how to make a 30-minute meal, how to teach your kids how to make a 30-minute meal, because, I know how empowering it is to teach our kids how to take care of themselves. So the theme of this video is simple solutions to empower the people you love to take care of themselves while you take care of yourself. So here we go. The recipe is, it is stuffed peppers. All right, so I've got a finished product in the oven, and we're going to just go through it real quick to show you some tips and tools how to prep the food to make it really simple and easy. First of all, I just want to start with letting you know that when it comes to teaching our kids how to cook, that ingredients matter. So my son is the one that sent me this email or this recipe. He's the one that suggested that I make it because he's made it before and he loves it. So hopefully your kids will love it too. When I was growing up, I didn't like stuffed peppers, but this recipe I like. So hopefully you like it too. All right, so ingredients matter. First of all, I wanted to show you a few things that I do to prepare for making a meal. I always have extra onions cut up in the fridge. I always have extra rice in the fridge, things like that. I always have, when I'm cooking a whole chicken and I'm slow cooking the whole chicken, I'll take the meat off the chicken and I'll leave the bones and all the remains from the chicken in the slow cooker and do it, twice as long if I can. And then I'll strain off the juices and all the fat, all the goodness from the leftover parts of the chicken, and I'll put it in the fridge for later. For this recipe, and the reason for that is because I really like to add that flavor from the chicken into my rice. So I used a Instant Pot to cook my rice, and I used brown rice. So that's the very first thing you want to do. And if you don't have leftover rice in the fridge, then you can do this earlier in the day or the day before to prep for your meal, so it makes it a lot easier and faster. The Instant Pot recipe is 2 cups of brown rice to 2 cups of chicken broth. And this is the chicken broth that I use. Let's see this backwards. Oh, looks like you can see it okay. I don't know. Anyways, so this is the brand I like from Smith's. I try to get the organic brand as much as possible. I got 3 of these for $5 the other day. So when I don't have my own chicken broth, I'll use this chicken broth. And then, another thing to always remember is to wash your produce when you bring it home. I have a bowl of water here just for convenience. I'll do this in my sink, and I'll add white distilled vinegar to the water, about a tablespoon for a gallon of water, a gallon to 2 gallons of water. And then I'll submerge the produce. I'll clean my apples, clean any fruit or vegetables that has, a shiny coat on it. So keep that in mind. The only thing that I don't like to wash are berries, and so I just kind of leave the berries as is. Another thing to do for prep work is I always have extra onions in the fridge. I don't know if I mentioned that before. When I cook spaghetti or anything that requires onions, I always have extra onions cut up in the fridge. All right, I think that is it for this recipe as far as prep work goes. We've got chicken broth, rice cooked ahead of time, We've got the clean produce already cooked or already cleaned ahead of time. You can have extra onions cut up in the fridge. You can have extra tomatoes cut up in the fridge if you want, to put together a quick salad. When I'm cooking, I generally like to add a bit of something to the recipe that makes it more healthy. So this recipe, the only thing that I changed was instead of using canned tomatoes, I use fresh tomatoes. So we'll get to that in a minute. I have over here already the hamburger. Oh, did I show you the organic meat that I buy at Wenco? I really like this meat. I always try to go organic if I can, especially if it's on sale. I'll always go to, I really like the chicken at Wenco and the hamburger at Wenco. I'll always see if there's something on sale. If there's like a whole chicken for like $1 off, I'll get 2 and freeze one. So keep that in mind. It's a great way to stock up on your healthy organic food. I wish I could tell you which. Oh, it's called Bear. That's the chicken I use. Is Bear chicken at Wenco. So it's really good. Probably twice as much as what you pay for at with any other type of chicken, but it's well worth it. The difference is on the chicken that's not organic, you can see like veins through it, like white lines. It's really stiff, and it's just not as good for you, especially because of all the added hormones and the type of food how they grow the kind of food they feed the animals and how they grow the food when they feed the animals. So that, to me, that matters, because when it comes to our hormones and our health, there's a lot in our food that we eat that we can, pay attention to prevent a lot of sickness down the road. And we can dedicate another video to that. What kind of food, what kind of toxins are in food that I always try to avoid when it comes to cooking. All right. So the first step is, of course, Instant Pot your rice, 22 minutes, set it 22 minutes and pressure cook, and then 10-minute release. So if you can have that ready ahead of time, that makes a huge difference on your time. And I know as a mom how time is money. So when we're working moms, we don't want to be in the kitchen cooking that much. And especially the more I'm out of the more I'm out of the kitchen, the less I nibble and snack and things like that. So I totally get it if you're with me on that. Let me get a drink of water real quick. Okay. So the rice is first, and then we, of course, the hamburger. I already got this mixed up. I did the hamburger and the onions at the same time. And then we've got some garlic. I'm going to use a garlic press to get that going here on the stove. Wish you could see what I'm doing. Maybe I can just move it down a little bit, and I'll just. You can't see my face for now, but that's okay. At least you can see what I'm cooking. All right, so putting in the garlic, and on this recipe, making a mess. So on this recipe, like I said, I use fresh tomatoes instead of canned tomatoes. The recipe calls for canned tomatoes. So if you have canned tomatoes, hey, go ahead and use it. But I prefer fresh organic tomatoes. And the recipe also calls for tomato sauce and a can of tomatoes. So if you're using if you're going by the recipe, you can use those two items. But if you're using fresh tomatoes, I really don't think that you need both the sauce and the fresh tomatoes. I just combine the two, and I omit both of those and just use tomatoes. So 4 tomatoes, and letting it just kind of simmer on. Getting it to a good temperature where it starts to simmer. Move it back to my bigger burner here. And so you can kind of start to smell the garlic. And, I just thought of something. If you don't have time to make dinner, send them this video. Get them on my Facebook group. Tell them to watch this video, and I can teach them how to do it instead of you teach them how to do it, right? So, if you don't want to teach your kids how to cook, I'll teach your kids how to cook. So I'm happy to do that. All right, so we're getting a little bit of moisture come out of the tomatoes. And the next thing is, also one thing to remember is I don't drain the hamburger. I don't drain the hamburger because when I'm using organic meat, put this back up for a second. When I'm using organic hamburger, I want to get all the good fats I can get. So I actually include I don't drain the fat at all from my hamburger. And so we can actually do another video on healthy fats and how I use healthy fat in my diet. All right, so, okay, we got the tomatoes. They're simmering over here. I can hear them simmering a little bit. Turn the heat down to medium. And then we're going to, after you get the hamburger and you've got the hamburger, the onions, the garlic, and the tomatoes going, we're going to put in 3/4 teaspoon of oregano and 3/4 teaspoon of basil. And mix that in. And I've already got the oven set earlier. I've already got some food. I set the oven for 400. So that's one thing you want to do right now is set the oven for 400. Get that going. I've already got that turned on, and so we're letting it just kind of simmer here, letting the tomatoes reduce a little bit. So once we get the salt and pepper, then the next thing we're using salt and pepper, and I use Himalayan salt always. Regular table salt is not healthy. So, and there's reasons for that. Well, another video for that. We'll do a video for fats and salts. And so I always use Himalayan salt. All right, so just shake that in to taste. Mix that up a little bit. And then next we have got the Parmesan. So we're letting that kind of just simmer for about 5 minutes. And once those tomatoes kind of break up and reduce a little bit, we're going to add a 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. And mix that in. And then after we get the Parmesan in there, we're going to instead, and this calls for drizzling olive oil. That's another thing I want to address is I do not use olive oil very often. The oils I use is either bacon fat, leftover from cooking bacon, and also coconut oil. So use the coconut oil to grease your pan. So that's the next thing you'll do is get out your pan. And I have a pan in the oven that already has the finished product in the oven. So I'll show you the pan I use here in a minute. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the tops off of these peppers. So just kind of cutting around the edges like that, grabbing the center, and all the seeds come out with it. And I just kind of grab those little white veins in there and get it out of there. All right, shaking the seeds out. And we're just doing 2 peppers because I already did 3 earlier. And this recipe actually will fill 6 peppers. And I always love to have leftovers because my son loves to have leftovers for lunch. Or you can give leftovers to your husband for his lunch at work, or your lunch at your work, which is even better. So if you have two extra servings, so for us 6 is 2 extra servings for us. So that gives 2 people leftovers for lunch the next day, which I totally love. All right, so we got our peppers ready to go, and I'm going to pull out, because the next thing we need to do is put the pepper. Oh, actually, we need to put the rice in. All right, almost forgot about that. So we have, it's kind of mushed up in there. You can see, put this back down here. So put a half a cup of, I think it calls for a half a cup of rice. Let me see the recipe here. Yeah, it says half a cup of rice, which uncooked rice, which of course, when it's cooked, then it's a full cup. So I'm just doing a half a recipe since we're only doing 2 peppers, but you'll want to I put 2 kind of heaping scoops of rice in my mixture. Like, this is 1/4 of a cup. So mixing that together, got your rice in there. And, I like to eyeball my food. It's like I look at it, I'm like, do I need more rice? No, I think this looks good. So then the next thing is I'm just going to pull the ones I already have made out of the oven. And this is what they look like. Super yummy. So this is the pan I like to use. Probably for six peppers, I would use a pan like this, like a square pan. I think you could probably fit 6 in there. So, but since I had only 3 today in there, grab those out of there so I can reuse this pan. Oh, I need to get this back on. The 400. I'm sure it's still hot. All right. Okay, so just going to transfer these peppers over to the other pan. I just wanted them to be able to stand up. So I already greased this pan. Where's my hot pads? We got it. So I already greased this pan, and I'm with the coconut oil. That's what this is for, is the coconut, is to grease the pan. So these will stand up really nice in here. And I'm going to show you how to make a tent for, you know, because like these kind of stand up high. So I'll show you how to make a little tinfoil tent for that. All right, so we have grated cheese all ready to go on top. And you just kind of shove it in there. Stuff the peppers with all the goodness. And push that way down. You can get a lot of stuff inside these. So you have, you know, like, probably 1/4 to 1/2 inch, you know, on top. Enough room for the cheese. So if you're having your kid cook for you, if you want to have your kids cook this meal for you, I think the best way to you know, empower your kids to do it on their own is to have this food prepped for them. So you'll prep the onions, you'll prep the tomatoes, you'll prep the rice. And, you know, if you like to buy grated cheese, that's already prepped for you. You can do that. So anything that you can kind of like, here, go down a little bit more here. Anything you can do to like say, hey, I've got all these ingredients ready to go. All you have to do is stick it together and put it in the oven. And then they're like, oh, this is easy. So maybe next time they can do the prep, you know, and at least help them cook a little bit by just saying, you know, empower your kids to cook by, you know, give them a boost by getting that food prepped. So I've got like a kind of a square here. And what I did was I just folded it in half, long ways, like this, and I kind of just pinch these corners. Put these back up so you can see me. Pinch these corners so it's like good and tight. And then I spread it back out so that, you know, the center, so it looks kind of like a dome. And then back over here to the pan. I'm using a hot pan. I'm going to be careful. So I like to just, right up there. And I just like wrap it around like that. And then, you know, when my kids start cooking, when I have them cook for me and my family, I'm always kind of nearby to answer any questions, but I don't stand in the kitchen with them. I don't, you know, I go and do something else like laundry or, you know, something else with my business that I need to do. But I don't stand over and hover over them and tell them what to do. I let them figure it out. And if they mess up, hey, you know, I'm like, you'll do great next time, you know, now you've learned. So we're going to put this in here at 400 degrees. I think it was 35 minutes. Let me check the recipe one more time. Yep, 35 minutes. Oh. All right, and then at the end of 35 minutes, you'll just take, it was done. At 35 minutes, these were done, these three. So in the recipe, it says you need like 10 more minutes to, no, maybe it needs a little 10 more minutes just to kind of make the peppers a little bit softer. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed that video. Let me know what kind of things you want to learn about toxins in foods and hormones in foods and oils and fats and the kind of seasonings I use, like salt, and why to avoid them. And I'm happy to share any information that you're interested in learning about, and so we can get just a dialogue going on here. So I also invite you to sign up for my email list so that you can get this recipe in your inbox, and also get notified when I am going live every Wednesday. And you can also be sending those out soon every week. You'll be able to get the recording of my lives in your inbox, and easier, so it makes it a lot easier to share with your family. Like I said, the purpose for these videos, and I know that you could probably find this recipe on your own and do it on your own, but the purpose for these videos is to just to help you empower your kids and be able to take care of yourself, free up some time, and be able to cook on a budget, cook healthy food on a budget. And the more we, delegate to our kids, especially when we're trying to teach them how to take care of themselves before they leave the house, it helps them manage their money and their time more. And they just feel happier and healthier, because, you all know that when we binge on garbage, it just makes us feel tired. It makes us feel like junk, right? So whatever we eat and put in our bodies, that's what we get out in response. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Tell me you want more 30-minute meals. I would like to do this once a month, and if you like that idea, then give me a thumbs up. And like I said, I'm going to share a link to connect with me through email. I'll send you the recipe, and I will send you an update on when I'm going live and the topic we'll be discussing, and you'll get the recording in your email. So I hope you enjoyed it again. I will see you next Wednesday. Next week, I'm coming to you from Sedona. I'm so super excited about that. I have a special announcement for you all from Sedona. So, all right, I will see you next week.